Moving on to Generation 2 now. Let's start with Dragon because the only one there is Kingdra. Kingdra is a really nice addition to the Dragon typings that was just Dragonite at the time. It gets Swift Swim, which was really nice. Being a water typing means that during that time it was only really weak to other dragons because Ice was neutral and Fairy didn't exist. And it's just a really nice option if you wanted a nice physical or special attacker that could hit really fast. Starter Pokemon. Now I'm gonna have to pick Totodile. I don't really like the Johto Pokemon starter line. That is, I'm not really a huge fan of the Chikorita line. I'm not really a huge fan of the Cyndaquil line. I like the Totodile line best because it has Ice Fang, and Ice Fang I thought was quite cool for a water type to have that could take down the water types that I was weak to. And I've used it in the Heart Golds. It was a really nice playthrough and having a nice Relegator. The fact that it evolved to level 30 as well was quite nice. But yeah, I like Totodile. I like its appearance in the anime. It's always the happy-go-lucky Pokemon. It was always jumping around, being cool. And just, yeah, having Ice Fang was kind of the solidifier for that Pokemon, basically. Let's put Jumuru here for now. Jumuru, I love how in Generation 6 it went from pure water to water and fairy. It was nice. It meant that Steel was neutral to it. It had extra playability when it came to moves like Play Rough and stuff. The stats aren't too good, but then the huge power helps it out a lot. Even if you give it Sap Sipper, it takes on the grass moves that it's weak to. This is the generation that introduced Steel typings, and I do like Frigid as well. I'm not a huge Fortress fan, so sorry if there's anyone out there that likes Fortress. I do like Skarmory. Let's put Skarmory there because that's an iconic Pokemon. Like I mentioned with Corviknight down here somewhere, Steel and Flying is one of my favourite type combinations. The ability to just be weak to just electric and fire is just really great, especially if it gets certain moves that can counter those. It's very bulky, it's very tanky on the physical side, so it can take a couple of hits. And if it weren't for Corviknight, Skarmory would definitely be a lot higher up in terms of my overall kind of favouriteness. Dark, we're going to go for T-Tar quite easy. You could go for the rock section, which I might go to. But Tyranitar, it's a pseudo-legendary, so already that gets it the top of the table, basically. It sets up its own Sandstorm, which helps its rock typing out for special defense. It has really nice moves on the physical side and special side. It does have a lot of weaknesses, but thanks to Terastallization in Generation 9, you can get around a lot of those, especially with like Flying or Ghost. And Tyranitar has just been a staple for a lot of teams over the course of over a decade now, probably. It's just such an iconic Pokemon to go to when you are looking for a physical threat, basically. Even in the anime, I like the anime appearances that it had, being a mum to the Larvitar, and it's just like paternal instincts made you realise, hang on, these brutish monsters actually have a caring side. Oh wow, I wonder what I'm going to pick. Mystery World's on its own, it's quite nice. I did like it in the anime. I thought it was quite cool that it had like a necklace resembling kind of its ghostly powers. It does get Flutter Mane now in Generation 9, but we'll probably go into that in the Generation 9 section. But Mischievous on its own, I don't know why it wasn't used in the Generation 2 gym. I mean, a Ghost Specialist and it was using Gengars and Haunters and stuff. It's like, come on, there was a Mischievous right there. I'm not really a fan of the Generation 2 bugs. I like Heracross, I like Scizor, and I like Shuckle, so I'm going to have to kind of fight for those. Let's put Shuckle there for now. Shuckle is just so derpy, it's so lovable. Its massive defenses make it crazy for that stat that does the most amount of damage if you use Power Trick. Rock and Bug means that it's got a nice coverage in offense and defense. And if you can play around with this thing, you can set up traps, you can set up stalling. And it's just such an incredibly derpy Pokemon, I love it. Could we go in the fighting section? Oh, yeah, definitely. Heracross, by far, is probably one of my favourite Generation 2 Pokemon. Its appearance in the anime, always sucking on Bulbasaur's bulb. Yeah, the fact that it was part fighting, so you had this bug type that could now fight. It does make it quad weak to flying, which I didn't like, but I can look past that just for its appearance and its kind of ability to use Moxie and Swarm. It was just really nice. And in Generation 6, when it's got its Mega Evolution, having Skill Link, you insane. It gets Rock Blast, it gets Bullet Seed, it gets Pin Missile. I just love Heracross to pieces, basically. Alright, yeah. So, Crobat, let's talk about Crobat. Very, very fast flying type. The addition of Poison helps it because then Ground does nothing to it. I did like how in Generation 1, Golbat finally got that evolution to Crobat. In anime, it was really nice. I've used it in a tournament before. It is actually quite a nice tailwind setter. Crobat is just a really iconic Pokemon to have on a playthrough, basically. You beat any game, you just have it on any team. And it works quite nicely to fill that flying slot. So, Scizor as a Steel type now. We've moved Skarmory over to the flying. Scizor is just such a great Pokemon. It evolved from Cypher, which was already really good. The addition of Steel makes it only weak to fire. And having a bullet punch that does extra damage because of Technician is just insane. You get priority For a quite slow Pokemon that hits really hard with Technician, if you Terastallize into a Steel type, then it does even more damage. It gets things like Tailwind and U-turn, so you can always just get out of there or set up for doubles. And it's just the design, it's like a really nice sleek bug that can just do a lot of damage. And Ampharos can go here. I do really like Pichu, I do like its anime appearances and stuff, but I think I like Ampharos more. Because in Generation 6 I caught a shiny one, it was probably one of my first shinies I remember. And the ability to Mega Evolve, actually, just a Mega Evolution, thinking about it. I really like Mega Heracross, I really like Mega Sizzle. I never really got to use Tyranitar that much. Let's do this and this, I think. So it's not like I hate Ampharos, I love Mega Ampharos a lot better. It turns into a Dragon type. Electric and Dragon is a really nice combination on the defensive and offensive sides. And just the sheer fact that I caught a shiny in my main playthrough, that was not any like challenge runs. I was still quite young, so I wasn't sure what challenge runs were. But just this raw thought of getting a shiny in the wilds. I think it was a horde battle as well when they were doing horde battles. Mega Ampharos just hits hard with Dragon Pulse. It gets the extra bulk it needs to take on the hits. Having nice electric coverage for any flying types or any water type. They'll put Pichu here because I do like Lantern, it's water typing, but Pichu is just more iconic. It's like the predecessor to Pikachu. It's really cute and adorable. Its anime appearances just sum it up as one of the best electric types from Generation 2. And yeah, it might not be competitive, but it's adorable the same. Rock typing, I'm going to have to go for Sudowoodo. I'll put Shuckle down there. Hate Makago, hate Corsola, and Tyranitar's here. So Sudowoodo, I love it. I love the anime appearance that it had. How Bonsly evolved into Sudowoodo. I love the gimmick of it just being a grass type when it's actually not a grass type. It shakes its little maraca hands and it's just brilliant, saluting all the time. Competitively, it might not be the greatest, but I can imagine some people out there have used it on things like Nuzlocke and stuff to help it out. It just sums up Generation 2 quite nicely. Just this really happy Pokemon that just loves being itself, basically. So for Psychic, it's going to be a toss-up between Wobbuffet and Espeon. I really love Espeon, it's really good. I love all the evolutions actually, so if I use that argument of I really love all the evolutions, I can put Wobbuffet down because then it saves me from putting evolutions down every single time. But Wobbuffet, it's mainly the anime that carries it. It's definitely probably top 3 in anime. Wobbuffet might not be the greatest in competitive. I mean, it gets Shadow Tag, which locks the opponents in. If you work out Mirror Coat and Counter well, then you can really screw the opponents over. And in the anime, it just carries it so much because the Wobbuffet on Team Rocket was just brilliant. It was so goofy, it was charming, it came in the worst possible times, it added that nice comedy to the episode that if it was like stale or dry. Being a pure psychic type, it could have been like maybe dark, it could have been something else, but I love it all the same just being a pure psychic type. And just even when the gender difference, I remember finding out I had lipstick and I was like, wait, Wobbuffet doesn't have lipstick, and realising, oh wait, it's a gender difference. I thought, oh, it's quite cool, it had lipstick on. When I questioned why it had lipstick. For ground, let's say Quagsire, because it would be Gligar. Let's say I put Gliscor here. Gliscor is one of my favourite Pokemon, and I love Gligar as well, but I don't want it to be doubling up. With Quagsire, it's just a derpy derp, and it's just really woolly. It can take on a lot of hits. It is quad weak to grass, which is unfortunate, but then that's also the best part, because then as long as you're not facing the grass type, you should be good. It can Toxic you, it can haze your stats away. It can just do a lot of damage if you raise it correctly with Earthquake and stuff. And it can just take in a lot of hits. It gets Recover, it gets the ability to ignore your stats with Unaware. And before Dondozo, this thing was the original Unaware user, basically. Ice types, I mean, no, let's leave Mamoswine for Gen 4. Which I don't like Delibird and I don't like Smoochum, so we'll put Sneasel there. Sneasel is really cool. I don't like how it's quad weak to fighting, but then I said that about flying for Heracross, and I said that for grass for Quagsire. Sneasel is just like a little ice ninja. It is kind of weird how it hides in the ice, but then it's like black or like really dark colouring. But it's really quick, it hits really hard with an Eviolite, or if you give it like a choice item. This thing does a lot of chaos in competitive. And just the philosophy of this like ninja in the ice, hunting down prey in the blizzards and stuff is quite cool. For Generation 2, I don't like any of the grass types really, except for Celebi. Celebi, I love the concept of time travel. I love the fact that it can travel through time and you can go along with it. It could have been a fairy type, but I think grass psychic fits it just as well. And I'm picking it because I don't like any of the other grass types really. So Celebi can go there, which leaves this slot open for Lugia. I really like Hoto and Lugia, that's the thing. So if I put Lugia here, that means Hoto has to go here. Sorry, Houndoom, I could put you in the dark section, but then Tyranitar would have to go in the rock section, and then it's just all chaos. Ho-Oh is a basically God Phoenix. It's a flying fire type that just is really good and competitive. I like it in the anime how it was like the inspiration for Ash to go on his journey and live forever. Ho-Oh has always been a staple of like any fire teams because it just hits really hard. It does have that quad weak to rock, but if you can look past that like I have with the other typings, it's just a really good Pokemon. And the same with Lugia. Lugia, I'm really gutted. It could have been a water flying type, but Psychic and Flying still kind of works. Lugia in the movie 2 was really nice. I like the ability it gets, which is basically Dragonites. It has just really nice moves and coverage, and being Psychic Flying means it's not really weak to too much, and it can just deal a lot of damage. Yeah, what we'll do, we'll put Azumarill here, so I've spoken about Azumarill. We'll talk about Stubble instead. So Stubble, again, it's mainly because of the anime bit, really. Or can I put Gramble, because it did evolve. Mystery Dungeon is one of the inspirations behind Snubble slash Gramble because in the Mystery Dungeon games you have a friend, you have a Snubble friend in the town. I just thought that idea of it was really worried about evolving and it evolved and it kind of got really sad, but then it got happy in the end and it kind of helped me through life realizing that change is inevitable and all this stuff about you have to go through change in life to succeed, and it was really nice to see a Mystery Dungeon game of all things teach me that lesson. And in terms of the anime, Snubble was really cute. It evolved in the end, and it was just really funny to see it eat Meowth's tail. And it was quite cool to go from normal typing to fairy typing as well, which kind of gives it that extra fairy typing for Generation 2. There are a few here I can shout out, like Politoed, that's the Rain. For Alligator, I had on my main team, but then I've got Totodile over here. King just fits the dragon typing nicely. Normal, I really like Blissey. I hate Miltank. Miltank I love and hate at the same time. Smeagol's kind of cool. Let's put Porygon 2 here. Porygon 2 is one of the best Eviolite users. It gets Recover to stall out games. It's only weak to fighting, which makes it just a really pain in the backside to take down. And it gets really nice support moves. It helps in singles or doubles. And for the favourite for Generation 2, I'm going to have to give it to Tyranitar, I think. I do like a lot of these. Any of them could have come here, but I think Tyranitar's the best one. Just because it's a rock type that gets a sandstorm buff, along with things like maybe an assault vest or things like max special defense. You can even set up a light screen and this thing becomes an absolute monster. It can be either physical or special. You'd want it to be physical and hit things like Rock Slide or Stone Edge. But you can run it special as well with things like Dark Pulse. I guess things like Thunder Wave and Stealth Rock if you wanted to run it more bulky and just use it as a setup Pokemon. And it's just so versatile. The Tyranitar you win the slot for Generation 2.